Said before, and I will start this video with saying this again. I cannot blame Boris Johnson for the outbreak. It's a global pandemic. He had no control over it whatsoever. But he does have complete control over what he does and of government policies. Now, I was speaking with a friend a couple of days ago, and he was saying, look, Boris is doing everything he can, the government is doing everything he can, everything that they can. But that's where the problem comes from, and this is where a problem keeps coming back. They're not. They're telling you that they are. They're telling you that the NHS has proper PPE, but they don't. They're telling you that frontline services like care workers, for example, something I'm very, very much interested and switched on to, we don't have proper PPE. And also, while we're on the topic of carers, he also brought out the point of, well, if you don't want to risk getting infected, you can just stay home and get 80% of your wages. No. No. Actually, we can't. Aside from the moral obligation of people don't stop needing care just because something's happening, there are a ton of loopholes in this BS proposal that the government put forward. And care workers, if we self-isolate, we will not get a penny. So we can't stop going to work. And it's not just carers who fall into these massive loopholes, as well as some people who are living in rented accommodation being able to freeze their rent or, excuse me, not be evicted for 3 months. Doesn't apply to people like lodgers. Doesn't apply to everyone who is renting. There are numerous loopholes that a lot of people are certainly taking advantage of. So when it comes to the actual response, let's run through a few things that Boris has done. Back in January, mid-January, top medical experts in this country were saying, look, we really need to be taking this seriously. If this gets here, we're fucked. We need to put measures in place. Boris did nothing. He ignored them. The incompetent buffoon carried on as the incompetent buffoon does. Corbyn piped up towards the end of January, start of February. Look, the experts are warning us. This is something we really need to be taking seriously. Why aren't you doing anything? Nothing was done. Then the virus gets here. While the rest of Europe had meetings and conferences to discuss how the best way forward would be to contain the pandemic, the UK, Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock said, no, fuck off, we don't want anything to do with you. Recently, the EU came out and said, look, UK, you're still one of us, you're still our boy. We're about to bulk buy a shit ton of gear, of ventilators, of testing kits, of everything we could possibly need. Because we're bulk buying, it will be cheaper for everyone that way. Everyone benefits. You're still one of us. Do you want in on this? And Boris said, fuck you. He has, allegedly, we don't know this for certain because Donald Trump is a pathological liar, just like Boris. But allegedly, he has gone to America asking for help. There's a UK firm that builds ventilators who have received less than 400 orders from the UK government, while the UK government has gone to Dyson, which is now a Chinese-based company, who have never made ventilators, and put a massive order into them. Now, of course, the issue with that is because they've never made these ventilators, their ventilators have never been checked. That's a problem. That's something a competent Prime Minister, a competent government would not allow, especially as the company that is supplying the rest of the world, or damn near the rest of the world, with ventilators is UK based. Still, we are not having checks, we are not having tests. And yesterday, that fuckknuckle Michael Gove and the dipshits that were alongside him, well, you can't compare us to the rest of the world, you can't compare us to other countries. You can actually. You can compare us in comparable ways. And we are so poorly responding to this. It is beyond a joke, because people are fucking dying. The NHS is not being given proper protective equipment. So while the government comes out and says, oh yes, of course there's proper PPE, the NHS is standing around going, okay, well brilliant, where is it? Even care homes like the one I work in are struggling to get the basic of protective gear. The little masks that we get are going to do fuck all. And we're struggling just to get gloves. But the government is still spouting this bullshit notion that everything's fine, we're doing absolutely everything we possibly can. So, as I ask this question, more to see people's responses in general. What would it take for you to stop supporting insert name a person? For all the people supporting the Tory government, who voted Tory, who support Boris Johnson, at what point is it going to take for you to throw your hands up and go, you know what, I fucked up, I can't support this moron anymore? Is it when he insulted the experts who were warning this exact scenario was going to happen? Is it when he gets his government to lie and say there's PPE, while the NHS, frontline staff, care homes are all saying, where the fuck is it? Because we haven't got it. Is it when he shits on the people offering help while scrambling to make deals, alleged deals, with America, who, if memory serves, are starting to build from Ford, which again have not built these ventilators before? As they're so obsessed with the economy, is it when he takes jobs away from a British firm and gives it to a Chinese firm? At what point do you have to look at the government and go, okay, you know what, you're really not doing what you say you're doing? I genuinely hope everyone out there keeps safe. Don't take any unnecessary risks. It's not worth it. It's now not just elderly or people in a high risk category who are dying because of this virus. Last week there was a 21-year-old with no underlying health issues who was reported to have died because of this virus. And there could very likely be a lot more. But again, the problem is this government isn't fucking testing people. So we have no idea how far spread the virus is. We have no idea where it is. We have no idea whatsoever, because even in hospitals, the government is not properly testing. I stopped supporting Boris Johnson. In fact, I hit the final straw with Boris when he was Foreign Secretary and he got a British citizen arrested and thrown in an Iranian prison cell because he lied. And then he doubled down on his lie, giving her a much harsher sentence. That was the final straw for me. For everyone out there who still supports Bojo, what's going to be the final straw for you?